Hello everybody, this is Sandy Weiner and welcome to my weekly Facebook Live, Sundays with Sandy. And tonight's topic is a little different than my usual topic. It's about mental immunity. And this is something I've read about in the Book of Joy, which is a discussion between Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama. And if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It is a fascinating book about how we can have joy in our lives no matter what is going on. And the reason I brought this up tonight is because I know that sometimes dating can get you down and relationships can be frustrating, and many of you have given up on love and you get frustrated, you don't know what to do, and so this topic is relevant for all of us because we all go through tough times, and I'm going to share a method for being stronger when things don't go well in your life. So I'm going to start out tonight with a story from my own life about a very challenging time that I had. And many of you know a little bit about my past, but for those of you who don't, I was married for 23 years. And a year after I got married, I gave birth to our first child. And his name was Avi. And he was born with many, many physical anomalies. We didn't know what his diagnosis was at first, but he needed emergency surgery when he was born. And 3 weeks after he got out of the hospital, he was in the NICU, in the neonatal intensive care unit for 3 weeks, and then he was extremely lethargic. We brought him back in, and he almost died that night. And we went through ups and downs, 17 surgeries on this poor little child, and when he was 5 years old, he developed excruciating headaches. We brought him into the hospital to get rehydrated because he wasn't eating, and within 24 hours, he was gone. It turned out he had a brain tumor at the base of his skull, like right back here, where it controls all of our basic functions. And his headaches were excruciating, and his life ended suddenly. Now, most people would have a very, very hard time recovering from the loss of a child. And I'm not saying that it was easy, but the experience that I had with a sick child and with a child who passed away and went through so many surgeries was so different from the experience that my husband had. Almost as soon as he was born, well, first of all, I was left alone I was left alone in the operating room. In those days, we were pulled into an operating room to have a baby. This is over 30 years ago. And I was alone with the nurse who was sewing me up, and everyone else had left to go be with my son. And so I just remember feeling really scared. I was shaking because I had an epidural, and so the aftermath of that and the fears and everything else. But I wanted to be the best advocate for our son. That was all that really was going through my mind. I really didn't have much of a thought about why me, because I am the kind of person who doesn't believe that only good things happen to us. I don't expect everything to go well all the time, and I think that's really helped me to weather many storms. My husband, on the other hand, asked why me from the beginning. He had become religious about 2 years before I met him, and he really believed that if he had faith in God and he observed the commandments, that good things would happen to him. And when they didn't, he was angry, and he stopped observing the laws pretty quickly. So what started out as a united front with the two of us observing in the same way ended up becoming this huge divide. Now, I don't want to sit here and bash my ex-husband, and I'm really not saying anything bad about him. What I'm really saying tonight is that the way that we deal with the tough things in our lives is what makes or breaks us. My husband went into a mild depression, I believe, for the next 13 years. And I just plugged along. I was an incredible advocate for our son. I became an expert in his disease. And when he died, the first thing I thought of was, how can I teach the nurses, the social workers, and the doctors how to be better at dealing with a dying child, because they were terrible with us. They dismissed us. They didn't give us information. And so about a month after my son died, I met with these people. I had a big meeting, and I said to them, this is how you can do better. This is what will work for parents. And so the way that I deal with crisis is to give back, is to connect, is to learn and grow. And I did this naturally my whole life, but I see the importance of it throughout our lives. And so the term mental immunity, which the Dalai Lama speaks about, is just this. It's how we deal with tough situations, is to develop immunity to the tough times in our lives. So just like you develop immunity for diseases, you get tougher, you can handle diseases. I mean, you don't get sick as often when you've developed immunity, right? So people who have low immunity are very susceptible to any disease, like a little cold can make you really sick when your immunity is low. So it's the same thing with mental immunity. The more you can develop processing skills, the more you can deal with tough emotions in a way that doesn't destroy you. One little blip doesn't hurt you. When somebody speaks in a nasty way, it doesn't destroy you. When a date doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You know how to process it. And so this kind of mental immunity is something that I have been working on my whole life, I think, and it's something I teach to my clients. I teach it to you guys. I write about it. I haven't used those words, mental immunity, but it really struck me when I read about it this weekend. This is the Book of Joy. It's probably backwards for you guys. But it's an excellent book. It's by Douglas Abrams, and it's a conversation between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu that took place over a week during the Dalai Lama's birthday. I think he was turning 80, and Desmond Tutu was 84 or 85 at the time. They're amazing people, and what I love about this book is it's universal. It's not about religion, and the Desmond Tutu is a Christian, and Dalai Lama is a Buddhist, but their beliefs are about humanity. It's about how we can live our best lives. And this is what I take such a strong stand for. So how do we process our emotions? Some people meditate every day, and I believe that that's a wonderful practice. So if you meditate, and there are so many ways to do this. There are apps you can get on your computer, on your phone, or on your computer. There's one called Headspace. You can do guided meditations. You can meditate for just a few minutes, but it's about taking the time and the space, especially today when we have so many devices that we're on all day, and we need to take a break. We need to stop ruminating and being anxious all the time. I mean, there's so much anxiety in the world today. I have a friend whose husband has been in treatment because of anxiety. He's been away at a special treatment center, and he really can't be in society right now because of his high anxiety. So we all are reacting to what's happening in the world, to so much. And the way we process all of this is what matters. So how do we develop those positive emotions to keep our mental immunity strong? So the Dalai Lama believes in the 8 pillars of joy. And those are perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness, both of ourselves and of others, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. So I'm going to read those again because I have them all written down. It's perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness of ourselves and of others, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. So you can meditate on some of these. Some of them, the first 4 are of the heart, and the first 4 are qualities of the mind, and the second 4 are qualities of the heart. And so we need to have that mind-heart balance, the head and the mind, the head and the heart, always. And one of the things they stress over and over and over again is the power of community, which is why I started this group. It's why I nurture this group. You all are here for each other, which is such a wonderful thing. But you can do even more. Reach out, and if you're not already involved in a charity, reach out and be involved, become involved. Many of you marched this past weekend. That's a wonderful way to be involved in community and to be outside of yourself. So when we are depressed and anxious, we are so self-consumed that we can't think outside of ourselves. One last thing before I go is to just remind you that dating is a journey and that each man is there to teach you something. They're all human. They're human like we're human. And if you can, in your meditation, just be grateful for each man you had a date with or each man you had a relationship with, even when it didn't work out, especially when it didn't work out. This morning, I did a 10-minute meditation, and it's based on what Tony Robbins teaches. And I may get it a little bit wrong, but I'm going to leave you with this. And that is to spend 3.5 minutes concentrating on 3 people you love. And so each person gets about a minute. Really think about them. Think about why you love them. And this morning, I thought about 3 men that I had relationships with since my divorce and what I love about them, even though they're not in my life anymore and they were not my forever beloveds. They were important parts of my journey. And so focus on that kind of appreciation. It could be a teacher you had who influenced you. The second part of the meditation is to appreciate 3 things that you are grateful for. So whether it's something simple like food on the table, which isn't really that simple, having heat and hot water, or something big that you're grateful for. Think about 3 things that you're grateful for and spend about a minute on each. And the third part of this meditation is to think about 3 things that you are looking forward to in the future. So whether it's a goal that you want to reach, a place you want to visit, whatever it is, think about 3 things every single day. So I'm going to go over that one more time. In your 10-minute meditation, and everybody should be doing this, 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes on people you love, 3.5 minutes on gratitude, 3.5 minutes on goal setting, what you're looking forward to. So we have a little bit of past, present, and future. And if you do this every day, your mental immunity is going to increase. You're going to handle disappointments with much greater ease, and your expectations will turn into appreciation. Have a great week, everybody.